Welcome back. My name is Anna, aka Brookwillow, and today is just going to be a classic knitting podcast for you all, and crochet and sewing too. It feels like I haven't really recorded in a while, but it's only been 2 weeks, which is kind of my normal schedule, but it has been a month since my last knitting podcast, so I have a ton of things to show you, and I'm really excited for it. So let's just jump right into it all. First of all, I want to talk about what I'm wearing because it's one of 3 finished objects that I have to show you. And this is the Texture Vest by Helga Isager. This is part of the Vest Friends Mal that Juanita from Woolly Bean and I are hosting, and that make-along runs through the end of April, so if you haven't started anything yet, you still probably could make a vest by the end of the period. I'm thinking of even whipping up another one for knitting myself, so lots of time still. The nice thing with vests is they don't have sleeves, so it takes like half the amount of time as a whole sweater. Anyways, back to this vest. I absolutely love it. I think this is like my 5th time wearing it since I completed it about a week or 2 ago. A couple things that I really like is obviously the texture of it. I don't think you'll be able to see it from here, but it has like diamond purling throughout the whole piece. And yeah, I think it makes a really nice effect. And I really like the collar here. I think it adds just like a cool design element to the whole piece. And of course, the toggle buttons as well. As far as the buttons go, I think I might swap them out because, well, first my friend, she wasn't trying to be mean, but she's like, oh, those buttons remind me of pretzels. I don't know if you can see it. And I'm like, oh, you're right. I don't really want pretzel buttons. I don't even like pretzels to eat. So I think I might swap it out with like a really, really dark brown, almost black toggle button. And I want it to have more of a point at one end and get bigger. So I'll probably just like search Etsy. Thankfully these are really easy to take off and put new ones on, so it won't be an issue swapping them out. As far as the fit goes, I really like it. However, I almost wish it came in just like maybe an inch more. It feels like it opens up to the side a bit more than I want it to, and I want to keep it covered in front. I do feel like I always have to pull it over in the front. But that's really the only issue I have as far as the fit goes. I did make it in the large/extra large, so they do like small, medium, large, extra large, double XL, 3XL, and then I think like 2XS to XS. So there's a little bit of a range for sizing, but yes, that is the size I made for it. As far as the yarn goes, I feel like I've talked about it so much lately, but it's the Camellia Fiber Co. Merino in the color Dahlia, and I absolutely love this color. I know my last knitting podcast I talked about how much of this color I have in my wardrobe, to a point where I feel like I need to ground myself from using this color. But yeah, it goes with everything, and I like it a lot for that. I don't know if there's really much else to say about this vest because I feel like I've talked about it so much throughout the whole process of knitting it, and I just don't want to like beat a dead horse. So I think I'm just gonna move right into my next finished object, which I am so happy. If you follow me on Instagram, you would have seen that I finally was able to finish the Lanark Sweater. This is by Rebecca Kroy of the Crayabea podcast, or just the Crayabea on Instagram. I had the honor of being able to test knit this, and I was so excited because the moment I saw her knitting this up, I'm like, I need that, and I need it in a light yellow. And I found the perfect color yellow. This is Purl Soho's Good Wool in Lemon Meringue. And it's marketed as like a DK, but it's a bit more of a sport weight. And so because of that, I wasn't able to meet gauge, which meant I was going to be using a lot more yarn than what is like in the yardages for the pattern. And so I ran out of yarn when I was making this. I only had like this much left of the sleeve to go and the interfacing on the inside. And I'm like, that's fine. I will just go and order some more. And sure enough, it was sold out. And it was sold out for like a month and a half to 2 months. But finally, it came back in stock and I was able to order it. And I finished the sweater 2 days after the yarn arrived. So thankfully, just in time for the weather to get super warm here. It was like almost 70 degrees yesterday, which is wild because a week before it snowed 12 inches of snow. It's just been a weird weather week. But when the sun goes down, it gets really cold, and I still can get a lot of use out of wearing this. I've worn it 3 times now since I finished it just this last week. But yes, more about the construction. So it's half fisherman's rib. And obviously, as you can see, there's a quarter zipper, and it's top down, which I like. I've been knitting so much bottom up lately that it just feels really good to have a top down sweater. But yeah, sewing the zipper in was a lot easier than I thought it was going to be. Her instructions are to just hand sew it, which is nice. It takes a little bit of the pressure off, especially for those who don't have a sewing machine. But yeah, here it is with the zipper open. The inside is nice and clean because, like I mentioned, there's an interfacing that just kind of hides the whole zipper. I wasn't able to find a yellow zipper that matched the yarn because I really wanted like an antique silver zipper. I didn't want gold. I didn't want like platinum. So I was very limited in options for what zipper I could use with like the fabric on the side. This is the YKK brand. I think they make like 90% of the zippers in the world, it seems like. But yeah, I did sew it a little too close to the actual knitting, so it does get a little caught when I zip it. I have to be very careful, but I'm not really like going around yanking the zipper up and down like crazy, so it's fine. And I might just like sew back some of the knitting on the inside so it doesn't get so caught. I just wanted to hide that white zipper tape as much as I could, but her directions did say do not sew it too close, and I did not follow those directions, and that's completely my fault. But yes, here is the Lanark. The fit is perfect. I was a little worried when I was knitting it up. It looked really small, but after I blocked it, the yarn grew quite a bit, creating just the perfect size for me. And I knit up a size 5, which is like the normal size that I usually knit most of my garments in. But yeah, I love this so much. The color is absolutely perfect. It goes along with my like early spring mood board that I created back in January or February. And I think it transitions really well into late spring, early summer too, because these pastels are still just super nice, especially with all of the flowers that are starting to bloom. It just works with the whole vibe of spring, and I love it. So my third finished object to show you all is something that I don't think I started, but I talked about starting, and that is the house socks, which is a free pattern from Purl Soho. I had been seeing these socks a lot on my Pinterest, and I really love the ribbing at the top and the twisted rib all the way down. I think it creates a really good defined look, and I'm going to get up and show you it closer. Normally I like my socks to go a bit higher, like up to here, to be more of a mid-calf, but I wore these with some white tennis shoes and they were just peeking up above, and I thought it was like a really nice sweet look. So I actually do really like the length of these. I used Patons Kroy socks. I don't know what the colorway is, but there's not a ton of colorways, so it'd be easy to find this one if you want it. I've talked about this sock yarn before. I absolutely love it. I've knit 2 other socks in this same yarn but different colors, and they just hold up so well. They are my hardest wearing socks. I throw them in the washer and the dryer and they just maintain the same shape and they don't really felt, and I just love this sock yarn. I really wish Patons would come out with more colorways of this sock yarn, because some of them that they have are just a little too funky, but if they had more neutrals or just solid colors, I'd be all over it. But yeah, I really love this sock yarn. I highly recommend it, and it's for a really good price too. So I think they come in like 50-gram balls, and you just need 2 balls to make a pair of socks. And yeah, it's like $5.99 or $6.99 per ball. Yes, I finished these yesterday and I already wore them yesterday when I went to the movie. Yeah, really like these. I recommend the pattern. It was super easy to follow and it's free, so you can't really go wrong with that. I have been getting so excited casting on a bunch of new projects, but now I'm trying to like create a rule for myself that I'm not allowed to cast on a new project until I finish 2 projects, because I have a few more WIPs than I really want to at the moment. So I'm gonna test out that little theory and see how it works out for me. Or rule, I should say. So the first one I'll show you is one that I posted on my Instagram a few weeks ago. So if you follow me, you would have already seen this. And that is the Flower Power Pullover by Degen Knitwear. I have had this yarn to cast on this sweater since last fall, but with all of the holiday knitting and just other projects that I had planned, it kind of got pushed to the wayside. But I really wanted to make sure that I could finish just one more winter-ish garment before the summer comes, because I still can get use out of this in the summer weather at night when it's a little bit cooler. But look how absolutely beautiful these motifs are, and they just really pop, and I love it so much. I've seen this print a lot on like home good wear and other sweaters and stuff. It seems like it's a very popular flower pattern, and I really like the like Scandinavian style of it. I am using the recommended yarn, which is Buches Le Petite Lambswool, and it's held double. So the only bummer with that is you have to buy twice as much, but to me it's worth it because, again, I think since the yarn is like really sticky and a non-superwash, it just really makes the motif stand out a lot. This reddish color is called reddish brown, and then this greenish color is called very light green. So I like how direct their colors names are. So this is the front panel here, and then I am in the process of knitting the back piece as well. This one really seems to be flying off the needles too, and I think it's because it's just so fun watching these flowers grow. It's similar to knitting stripes where you're just like, one more stripe, just one more stripe, I'm like just one more leaf chunk. And yeah, it's really keeping my attention very well. It's fun. So then after this, obviously I just have the sleeves, and the motif also goes down on the sleeves as well. And that's one thing I really like about this pattern. I feel like if this was store-bought, you would only see the motif on the front panel and then everything else would be solid. I don't know if because they're saving money or what, but a lot of store-bought sweaters with patterns on it, it doesn't follow all the way around the sweater. So the fact that this is on the front and the back and the sleeves just really makes it feel more like designer, and that's basically exactly what it is. So loving this sweater so much. It's a very clear pattern to follow. It's a color work chart, which I prefer charts over handwritten, whether it be color work or cable knit. I just really like charts, and I think it's because I'm a visual learner. But yeah, really like this pattern. Hopefully I finish it up soon, but I did get distracted with another cast on, which I will show you next. So I've been trying to be good about what I'm casting on by doing it in the order of which I got the yarn, because I don't want yarn projects to just go to the wayside that I bought the yarn for. So that's kind of my thought process on how I'm doing this. So I bought some yarn gosh, it was Black Friday that I bought this yarn, which is kind of crazy. This is Purl Soho's Cashmere Merino Bloom, I think is the name of it, in the colorway Hydrangea Blossom. And the story with this was I was shopping around for a small business Saturday, and I found a cashmere tank top at a really cute boutique, and I'm like, oh, I can make that. And I always say that. I always say I can make that, but I never end up making that. That's going to be the theme of this podcast because I have something else to show you. But I decided, you know what, I'm going to make it. And since it was Black Friday weekend, everything was on sale, so I decided to get the Cashmere Merino Bloom, and it is really nice, and it's really nice to knit with, and it's like showing me how dry my hands are right now because it's so soft. You know when something is so soft and you have dry hands and it just kind of like gets caught on everything? That's what's happening with this. So I just need to moisturize and continue knitting. But I should tell you what I'm knitting. It is Petite Knits June top. I made this tank top last summer. I really liked it because it just kind of scratches that itch for just some super plain stockinette in the round and just a quick whip. And last year I used some yarn that I got from Knit Crate, and it was really nice yarn. But I made the tank top too cropped, and that was something I discovered in my Everything I Made in 2022 episode. Everything was just too cropped because I cropped it more than I needed to, and I'm discovering I don't need things to be so cropped. I'm not going to wear it as much if it's cropped. So I'm going to knit this to the dimensions that she has in the pattern, and I think it's going to be very nice. Normally I would never knit a tank top to wear in the summer that's made out of like wool or let alone cashmere, but I just thought this would be kind of nice on cooler days where I can wear it. It'll keep me warm and just have like a breezy button up over it. But when it gets like way too hot, it's probably going to be too warm to wear, but I'm sure I'll find the time to wear this. I absolutely love this color too. I've really been leaning into my seasons, so I'm a soft summer and a soft autumn, and this is definitely part of the soft summer color, and I think it looks nice on me, especially with kind of like my dirty blonde hair. It's really gonna just pop because my features and my coloring is very dull and like sad beige and this will stand out and just create a fun little pop of color. So not much to show. This is all I'm really at right now. I just cast it on a couple days ago, but it's been really nice because I've had so many complicated knits. Like I'm doing the colorwork flower sweater. I finished this textured vest and a half fisherman's rib and the socks with a pattern. It's just nice to have plain stockinette, and that's just what I needed for this. I think I'm going to bounce around between knitting and crochet and just show you my crochet whip. So I was scrolling through Pinterest as one does, and I came across a picture of this like dining room or something with a beautiful bold striped lumbar pillow, which let me just say, I think it's hilarious that I said I hated stripes and now everything I want is stripes. That seems to happen to me a lot, but yeah, so found this pillow. I'm like, I need that pillow, and I'm not going to pay for that pillow because I'm sure it's expensive, and I couldn't really find anything even similar to it. So I'm like, well, this is a great opportunity for a crochet cast on, because I made that crochet scarf in like the winter and I was just ready for some more crochet. It's again one of those just like mindless projects that I can just turn my brain off and watch Vanderpump Rules and not worry about anything, and that's what I decided to do. So I ended up purchasing a pattern because I'm still like a novice with crochet, and I did Debrosse's pattern. She has a lumbar crochet pattern, and it's called Vache, the Vache bolster pillow. And I really just needed it for just the construction, which hindsight after making it, super easy. I probably didn't even need a pattern, but whatever, I'm going to support people. I had to make so many modifications to it as well because she used like chunky yarn and hers is really small and there's no stripes or anything like that. So I don't know. It's pretty easy to modify though. But here is where I'm at so far. So this is obviously one end of the pillow, and I'm just beginning the next chunky stripe, and they're going to be even stripes throughout the whole thing. And I want to make this pretty big because I have a big sectional couch and I want it to go like on the longer chunk of one of the sections. And yeah, so this is where I'm at. It kind of takes a while because it has like a really tight gauge, and again, I'm just kind of new at crochet, so whatever. But I got these 2 cones of Line brand yarn from Joann Fabrics, which, first of all, I went to Michael's. Michael's sucks. I don't know. For yarn, especially, it sucks. Like, I went and there was one aisle of yarn and everything was like so picked over. I understand that we're getting into summer, but like they need to realize people knit all year round, not just in the fall and the winter. But yeah, so nothing there. And then I'm like, ugh, I'm gonna go to Joann's. So I went to Joann's and I found all of these cones, which, oh yeah, Joann's had like 6 aisles of yarn fully stocked. So don't even waste your time at Michael's. No shade, but maybe some shade. Yes, they have cones, which I thought was super fun because you don't see cones quite as much at the big box stores. And I also saw that there's that other cotton yarn, I think it's called like sugar something. They have like all the tiny little balls of cotton. They also had cones, but this one is a cotton linen blend, which I really liked. Recycled cotton polyester blend, excuse me, there's no linen, but this is part of the ReUp line that they have, which I think is really cool that they're taking recycled fiber and making it back into yarn, especially for a really big brand like this to be taking responsibility. I think that's really important. Of course, it's always good to actually look into these practices to make sure they're not just greenwashing their labels. So maybe that's something I should do. But for now, I'm going to trust that they're doing actual recycling and it's good for the earth. Anyways, so I got this white color, I don't know the color name of it, and then this like rust terracotta. I really wanted it to be the dark red that I showed in the picture with the lumbar pillow, but in hindsight it's good that I went with something a little more neutral because I do have a lot of these colors in my house, and since the stripes are so striking, it'll be nice to have just more subtle colors so it's not just obnoxious. So I really like how these two are knitting up together, and I'm excited to be able to show you in the future the progress that I'm making. As far as stuffing it, I'm not going with like a standard insert because I mean, I'm sure it exists, but I don't really want to source a pillow insert, so I think I'm just gonna like stuff it with fabric scraps, yarn scraps, and my dad's neighbor gave me a huge bag of wool, and it looks like just wool stuffing. It's definitely not for spinning because it's like, it's definitely like felted. So I was thinking of using that as well to stuff the pillow up, and then if I have to buy more stuffing, then I'll just do that. I know it's kind of risky to make something that you can't take off to like wash in the washing machine, but I'm gonna take my chance and just do this. But yes, I am liking how it's turning out so far, and I'm excited to see where that one goes. So that's all the WIPS that I have, which is a lot, and it's quite a bit of new ones that we haven't seen since last time. I do have I have a sewing whip too. That isn't all of my WIPs, so I'm going to show you that. Also, I apologize if I'm just all over the place. I've had like a super busy weekend and I really wanted to get a podcast out. It's actually Easter today that I'm recording this, and I have to make a bunch of food and then go to my family's, and yeah, so I'm kind of scatterbrained. I apologize for that, but maybe I'm coming out as totally normal as usual. So anyways, the sewing whip. I normally don't have sewing whips, but this one took a lot of brain energy and I just needed a little break before I started it up again. This is the beginning of the Nepheline blouse by Vivian, Shao, Chen. And it's going to be a long sleeve blouse, and there's going to be buttons. I just pinned it together to hold it on here. And there's a few different options that you can do. You can do it without this ruffle at the top, or obviously with the ruffle. My friend Elena convinced me to do the ruffle at the top, and I'm really happy she did because it does make it a bit more whimsical and adds just a little something to it, and it's really cute. But that is what took a lot of brain capacity to make. And I'm really happy with how it turned out. Like, I'm somewhat new to sewing. I started maybe 2 years ago, and so this felt like a good feat for me. So yeah, all I really have to do is do the sleeves and the buttons, and it's done. And my goal is to finish it this week. So this is a bed sheet that my dogs tore a hole in when they get really excited. Well, when one of them gets really excited, he goes on his side and just starts digging, and I think that's why the hole was created. But I was able to salvage that whole sheet to cut out the pieces for it, and I still have the whole top sheet that has no holes in it, and I'm going to use that as well for more garments in the future. I think I might even try naturally dyeing it with the natural dye that I have. But yeah, that's where I got this fabric from. And the buttons that I plan on using are these little shell-like buttons. They're not real shells. I think they're just plastic because they're from Joann Fabrics. But I just kind of wanted to get some buttons fast and not wait for shipping or anything. But I think it's going to look really nice on this blouse. But yeah, I'm really liking how this one is turning out. I ended up creating a updated mood board more for like late spring. Emily from High Fiber Knits has been doing a lot of mood boards, and a lot of people on Instagram started creating their own mood boards, and I was like, I want to create my own mood board again. So I updated it, and here it is. And as you can see, there's quite a bit of red pieces in this, and I don't really have a lot of red in my closet. I just was able to thrift this silk long sleeve blouse in this shade of red, which I absolutely love, but now I kind of want more red pieces. And I have quite a bit of red yarn waiting to go to cast on that I have talked about. But I also want to make, there's this dress by Cool Stitches. Oh yeah, okay, so it's the Matilda dress by Cool Stitches. I absolutely love the shape of it. It's like a perfect dress. And I found this fabric on Merchant and Mills that I want to get for it. It's the exact shade of red that I want, and I really like the pattern of it. I was at a fabric shop a couple weeks ago with my friends, and I kept getting drawn to pinstripes and like small gingham, but we kept noticing it was really hard to look at. It does the weird thing where it starts moving and it kind of like makes your eyes cross, and I don't really want to wear a garment that makes my eyes cross and other people's eyes cross. So I thought this like kind of floral motif pattern would give that same effect without the dizzying effect of it. So I think soon I will purchase the fabric and make that dress, and that's my future sewing plans for now. But yeah, okay, now that's all of my WIPs. I just have 2 acquisitions to show you, and that'll be the end of it all. The first one being some yarn that I got. So my Aunt Mary, she's been asking me to make her a sweater for years now, like before I even started the Brookwillow channel, and I was like, you know what, it's finally time, I'm going to knit her a sweater. So I sent her all of the patterns that I have and asked her if she liked any of those, and she immediately was drawn to the Marseille sweater by Petite Knit, and she wanted it in the exact colors. So I was able to get a sweater's quantity in her size. And this one is the, what color is this? Okay, I don't know the color, but here they are. So this is like obviously a cream, and this may look black, but it's actually a super dark blue. And I kind of had a hard time finding these two colors, even though they're the ones that Petite Knit herself used. I don't know her real name. Does anyone know her actual name? But yeah, I was able to find it at Wool & Co, that online shop. They had a quite good selection of it, so that's where I bought it from. That will be my next thing I cast on after I finish 2 projects. So it's gonna be a while before I cast that on, but that's what's next. And then I got another month of Hello Yarn. I forgot to cancel my subscription. I said I was gonna cancel it because I got all of the yarn I needed to make the night shift shawl, but I'm kind of happy I didn't cancel it because I think I'm gonna swap this color out for one of the others. I think it's just gonna make more sense for the fade. So I'll go ahead and show you. So this is March's colorway, and as always, it's absolutely beautiful. There's so many fun colors in this. Hopefully you can get a good idea of it. And this is very soft. What is this fiber content? This is 23 micron merino wool top, and the colorway is Goosebumps. So the yarn that I'm going to swap it out for, I'll go ahead and grab it for you. I think I'm going to replace this yarn here, which was December's colorway, and swap it out with this one instead. I think this is really pretty, but it was just a little too much of an outlier for the whole like earthy tone, jewel tone colors that I've been spinning up for this. It's still really pretty, and I'm definitely going to use it. I could make like a Harlow hat or just like a normal hat out of it, and I think it'd be really cool. But I think this just kind of flows more with the colorways of everything. And I just, with the night shift shawl, I don't want it to be all neutrals and just like have one section like pop out too much. So yeah, I'm happy I didn't immediately cancel the subscription because I was able to get this, which is a color that I would prefer to use anyways. I have not really been spinning much lately. I don't know why. I think I've just been in kind of like the end of winter into spring. It's just like a weird time mentally for me. I actually learned that seasonal depression hits even more at the beginning of spring because you see all of these people like going outside and enjoying the nice weather and being super active, and you're sitting inside and you're like, I should really be doing that, but I still don't really have the energy to do it. And so that kind of is what happens. Do you get that? Like, understand where I'm going with that? So all I've really wanted to do is just like knit on the couch and watch Vanderpump Rules. But yeah, so I haven't wanted to set up my wheel, set up my chair and all of that. I have been able to pull myself out of that funk though, because the weather got so warm, like I mentioned, and I got a lot of new like outdoor activity things for the summer. So I got a new tennis racket. I think my sister and I are going to start playing tennis together. Mitch actually bought me a new bike, which was very generous. And it's a beautiful bike. I'll show you a picture for anyone who's interested. I went for my first bike ride on it yesterday, which was also my first bike ride of the year because the roads are finally dry enough to do so. And I also ended up buying a new pair of rollerblades. I've been rollerblading my whole life, and I've had the same pair for 20 years now. And the brake is like completely worn off, which I know you can replace the brake on it, but I think it was just time to get a new pair. And I didn't realize I needed a new pair until I had my REI dividend and a coupon. and I was just like, I have everything I need for camping. I don't need new stuff just for the sake of it. But then I saw that they had rollerblades, so I ended up getting a new pair of rollerblades, and I went out on a rollerblade ride 2 days ago. So just like going outside and doing activities 2 days in a row outside in the sun has just uplifted my mood, and I think I'm ready to start spinning again. Especially because I set up my front porch for summer weather. Like I put my chaise lounge out there. I bought a new cushion for it so I can have like a really loungy area to knit, and I also have chairs out there that I can spin on my wheel, and the dogs come out on there because I have a little gate that keeps them in on the front porch, and it's just gonna be a good summer on the front porch that I can get all of these activities done. That was just a bit of a ramble, but that's kind of what I've been up to these last few weeks. Yesterday, I briefly mentioned I went to a movie and I saw the Dungeons and Dragons movie, which was so good. I highly recommend that you go see it. It had a lot more comedy in it than I was expecting, and like the whole audience, including myself, was laughing so hard at so many parts. It was a really fun movie, and I highly recommend it if you're into the fantasy genre. So yeah, I am going to clean everything up. I'm gonna go sit on my front porch and edit this video so it comes out Monday morning, which is when you might be watching it. And I'm gonna prepare the food to bring to my dad's house for Easter. And with that, I hope you enjoyed this episode. Please give it a thumbs up if you did. That really helps me out. And if you're new here, welcome. Consider subscribing and you won't miss out on any future content. In the meantime, I hope you have a good rest of your week, and we'll chat next time. Bye!